Thank you for joining us today for Lavender Lane Wellness Center's webinar series. I'm pleased to introduce Marilyn Mayberry. She's our NLP Life Transformation Coach, and she'll be speaking on radical self-acceptance today. Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you, Christine. It's a pleasure to be doing this masterclass today with you. And my question to you now is there an area or areas in your life that you are not doing or being what you want? Is there times in your life when you wonder about negative experiences and feel like you could have done it differently? And then you beat yourself up for what you didn't do. So just think about those questions for a moment as you ponder, and feel free to have, as we move through everything, having a paper available to take some notes. For those of you that haven't met me before, and as Christine said, my name is Marilyn Mayberry, and I too have felt this way where I have had experiences in life that I beat myself up. I've been very good at that. In fact, I remember my mom telling me that all her school interviews with my teachers were that Marilyn's too hard on herself and she beats herself up. So I'd like to personally welcome you and acknowledge you for taking the time to actually be here and the energy to do this masterclass today. How could I let this happen? From the series Radical Self-Acceptance. For as long as I can remember, I have been searching for a way to stop the internal pain. I was experiencing this in college was the worst when I was experiencing it on a daily basis. And I wanted to become congruent with who I am and what I wanted to be. But I really didn't understand how to do that. I didn't want to live by someone else's rules or what society deems the proper way to conduct my life. And the stories and the way I was conditioned that play in my life are: you go to school, then you finish that, you go to college or university, you get a good job with benefits, and then you continue on and you meet a guy and you get married and you have kids. And my life didn't quite work out that way. And I was a witness to a lot of people that were really unhappy in what they do. The different jobs I go to or different experiences I have, I'd look at them and see how unhappy they were. And I would ask them and say, are you happy in what you do? And for, I'm going to say 3/4 of the people that I spoke with, the answer was no. I hate my job. There was one woman I can remember every day I would walk out onto the shop floor and she was miserable, but yet she would not leave the job or change the job because she wanted the benefits and she wanted the retirement package afterwards. So she spent day in and day out doing something that she absolutely hated and was miserable. And that is not the way I wanted to live my life. So in all of this, I pushed myself to do things in my life way outside of my comfort zone, and people would think I was crazy at times with doing these things. They were quite astounded, and they would say things like, "You're crazy, but you're also incredibly brave and courageous." And I could never do something like that. And these things that I was doing, even though I was pushing my comfort zone, I didn't realize at the time how out of norm it was from what regular society does, especially in the small town that I grew up in, which Christine is very familiar with because she grew up in the same town. And the thinking and the mentality is very comfortable inside of a box. Because when I decided at the age of 22 to travel to Australia for a year, people from back home were like, why would you want to do something like that? And for me, it was like, oh my God, why would I not want to do something like that? I couldn't understand their mentality and their thinking. When I was in my 20s, I experienced a lot of depression and sadness, and that's where a lot of the internal pain came from. And I read 2 books that changed the way I thought and the way I was brought up. And it was called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And the other one was Conversations with God, which was a way of aha thinking for me that I hadn't experienced before growing up in an Anglican church. And then when I was 27, I went to a Hawaii meditation retreat. And in this meditation, silent meditation retreat, I had a paradigm shift and I experienced what I'm going to call God. It can be anything for you. It can be universe, higher power, Allah, Buddha, whatever you want. I experienced God in a way like I've never had before. And those walls that had surrounded me, what felt like most of my life, finally had a crack. And I could see light through that crack for the first time. So with all the skills and the training that I've experienced over the years and searching for answers to find radical self-acceptance and self-love, I expanded my toolkit and essentially am able to take these tools now and help people with what I do and help people become congruent with who they really want to be and not who everybody else thinks they should be, and live the life that they truly want. So whatever problem you have in your life right now, I'm here to show you how to use different steps to move out of your comfort zone. In working with clients, I teach those tools, and I'm excited to share them with some of those with you today. Of course, I can't share everything in a 1-hour class, but I'm excited in this masterclass just to give you some key concepts and tools that can help you shift your awareness and move from problem to not problem into solution, which is one of the key techniques that I'm going to use. So let's face it, we all experience problems in our lives. There are times when we don't even know it's a problem, and that is called denial. So with denial, what I'm going to do is do a clearing technique, which some of you have done before, and I'd like you to join along with me. And for others, this may be brand new for you. And as I do that, I'm just going to share my screen and pull up my slides from here. Good. All right. So denial. Didn't even notice I am lying. Lying to who? Others? No, lying to myself. It's something that you didn't even notice. So let's go ahead and clear that denial right now. And you can be in a seated position if you would like, or you can stand. And with this one, I'm going to start in seated, but I'll stand up so you can see the lower hand position as we do it. And denial refers to inaccessible information because it's outside of our awareness. We're in denial because we weren't aware it was actually going on. This may include thoughts, beliefs, decisions, emotions, events that you have even forgotten or suppressed. Now, the technique for releasing denial is using specific acupuncture points that relate to specific emotional states. So if you've been on with Nancy doing EFT, she's been also working with these acupuncture points, and I'm going to add in a few more. Acupuncture is an ancient Chinese practice using qi, life force energy that flows across the acupuncture meridians and assists in maintaining the organs and keeping a person in perfect alignment and health. Sometimes blocks in those flow of energy currents can occur as a result of physical, mental, and emotional factors. So when using this technique, you can clear denial. So we're going to take our first two fingers and we're just going to place them on their collarbone and just trace down to the soft spot there. And we're just going to roll circles. Now, when you're clearing denial, you want to keep your eyes open because you can go back into denial if you close your eyes. So taking some nice deep breaths, and we're going to take 3 deep breaths now. And as you do, this acupuncture point is working on, do you know your truth? Do you know what's troubling you? Nice deep belly breaths, and yawning is a great way to release energy. So if that's happening, just let it happen. Good. So the next one you're going to take your left hand and you're just going to trace it behind the ear down that mastoid bone there, past the bone, just to that soft spot. And then your other fingers, you're just going to place on your navel, right on your belly button. So those are the 2 points that you're going to access. This one, you're just pressing and you're breathing in and out of your nose 3 times. So can you speak about what is troubling you? Good. So we're going to switch it out, taking these hands down to the belly button, other hand down to that soft spot below the ears. 3 deep breaths. Can you hear your truth? Good. So this one, you're going to take the thumb and place it on the third eye, and you're going to just reach your fingers back. Now, it might work easier if you turn your head slightly to the side when you do this. And this one is, can you feel your truth? As you breathe in and out, keep those eyes open. Good. And then we're going to switch it out to the other side. Finger on the thumb on the third eye, reaching those fingers back. Nice deep breath. Can you see your truth? Good. Keeping the fingers on the navel, you're now going to take this hand and take the 2 fingers and just place at the center of the head, in line with the ears. And as you breathe, can you accept your truth? Good. And then we're going to switch it out. Place those fingers on the navel and switch the other to your head. Are you willing to change your truth? Good. So keeping the fingers on the navel, the other hand now you're just going to place on your heart. Can you feel your life's purpose? Keep those eyes open. Good. On your throat chakra, can you speak your life's purpose? Good. And last one, on your third eye there, can you see your life's purpose? Good. And then just shake it out. Nice job, everyone. All right. So just taking a few deep breaths into that as you breathe in and out of your nose. I had mentioned earlier about the technique problem, not problem, and solution. And so we're just going to walk through that. My intention is to focus on those 3 areas and give you examples so that you can see it in your own life. Problem is when you're not sure there's a problem. You don't even realize there is a problem. You are in the mode of blaming people, you're complaining, you're justifying, or you feel sorry for yourself. Your ego, is it okay for your ego to be kicked a little bit here? Secondary gain. When the gain of having the problem is outweighed by the pain of having the problem, we stay in that problem and we perpetuate the problem by continually talking about it and doing nothing differently. So to give you an example, I was in the corporate world. Now, I did know that I wanted it to change, but at first I was just complaining all the time. I hated my job, and I was in one company, and then I moved to a job in another company. So doing the same thing, just in another company, and complaining, oh my God, I still hate this. And so the problem, I was basically on the hamster wheel with my problem and going over and over again, repeating. There was a time when this problem it consumed me. And I'm like, I know I need to do something differently. And then finally something started to click. And then I realized that, oh, I don't just need to move to a different job, same career, just a different company. I needed to do something completely different on the spectrum, because I would have people say, why don't you just get a new job? Well, once I realized, it's like, no, I need to do something completely differently. So what we focus on expands. So if I tell you to not think about a pink elephant, what are you going to do? You're going to start to think about a pink elephant. So in my career, all I was doing was focusing on the fact that I hated my job. That was my pink elephant. And I kept thinking about it over and over and over again, rather than thinking about solutions and what it was that I can do. So when you go from problem into not problem, now you're in a place where you're stuck. You've been working on it. You know you have a problem and you're working on it, but you're not at the solution. There's a gap in between. If you've been working on something for a long time, it can become part of your story. So to give another example, dealing with depression in my teens and when I was in college, I was completely consumed by depression when I was in college, and I would be on really incredible highs, and then bam, I'd crash and I'd be in depths of despair and pain and suffering. And so this became, again, a perpetual hamster wheel where I couldn't get off, because it now became my story, and it became very ingrained in who I was. Your definition of self is tied to this, and that for sure was my experience. I was tied to the story that I experienced deep depression, and it derailed my life, and I was searching for happiness and didn't know how to find it. Does this apply anywhere in your life? We live in a world of dualities, and we tend to focus on the glass as half empty rather than half full. Now, my mother was a person that was who focused on the glass half full, but my dad was the one who focused on the glass half empty. And I adopted my dad's model of the world. And my dad used coping mechanisms to get him through so that he could deal with the world. So let me just take that a step further with the duality, and I'm just going to read to you the second verse from the Tao, which I think will explain it nicely. Under heaven, all can be beauty as beauty, only because there is ugliness. All can know good as good, only because there is evil. Being and non-being produce each other. The difficult is born in the easy. Long is defined by short, the high by the low. Before and after go along with each other. So one can't exist without the other. So if you've got up, you have down. If you have in, you've got out. The same thing applies with emotions. So we can't experience happiness without understanding sadness. We can't experience beauty without experiencing ugliness. But everybody's model of the world defines how we see what is ugly, what is beautiful, what is cold, what is hot. I have a neighbor that through the winter, he wears shorts through the whole winter because his model of the world of what is cold is very different than mine. And this morning, I don't know if you woke up, but it's May, I'm not sure what date it is today, May something. And my yard was completely covered in snow and I'm feeling very cold. And so I pulled out my turtleneck today. So my definition of cold and my model of the world is very different of what cold is and what warm is to me, and then to what it is for him. The universe is not punishing you. It is not blessing you. It is not controlling you. The universe responds to the vibration you are creating. Think happy thoughts and they will come to you. Think negative and negativity will come to you. What we put out into the universe, we will get back like an echo. So when we're not aware of what we're putting out into the universe, we're going to receive that back to us. So when we're in problem, and that's our pink elephant, and that's where we're focusing, that's where our energy is going to go. And we may say, oh my God, I want this to stop, whatever the problem is, but yet we're focusing on it. So we have to learn to bring awareness to where we're experiencing a problem so that we can go into not problem and then go into solution, so that we can focus on the glass half full rather than half empty. So when we all see the elephant, again, we see the problem. But when we take a step back from that pink elephant, then we can start to see other things. So just for a moment, take your hands and just place them in front of your eyes, right up there in front of your eyes, and just notice what you can see. So your problem right now is that you can't see. You can't see the solution because the problem is right in front of your face. So now just slowly start to move your hands away from you. And as you move your hands away from you in front of you, you're still looking at the problem. But now you may notice that there's things you can see beside you, maybe above the hands and below the hands. And notice if you can just expand your peripheral vision for a moment and even see things slightly behind you. So when the problem is right in our face, we can't see it. And then when we take a step away, we are able to see other things. Now, when it comes to taking a step away, that may not be something that you can do on your own because, as I mentioned before, there might be secondary gain there. So when it comes to when I was in my very deep depression mode, I would get a lot of attention from my mom. My mom would take care of me. She'd nurture me. So my secondary gain is I would get attention. My sister growing up was, for the most part, a very happy child, and she did funny things, and she created music videos and did all this kind of stuff. So she got attention for being funny and happy and entertaining people. For me, that wasn't something at that time that I did naturally. It's something that she did naturally. Now, I could get attention when I would climb trees really high and stuff like that. But in regular everyday life, for the most part, it was in my depression that I was getting the secondary gain attention that I was craving and needing. But I wasn't aware of that, and I needed assistance. I needed help. It was through reading books and taking courses. It was through getting coaches that I was able to see things from a different perspective. So let me share a very famous story that you may have heard of or you may not. And just sit back and even feel free to close your eyes and just take in this story for a moment. It's the metaphor of the Chinese bamboo tree. So the Chinese bamboo tree gets planted and then nothing seems to happen. It gets watered and it gets nurtured, and the entire growing season, it doesn't outwardly grow more than about an inch. The farmer fertilizes it and it's getting sun, and it still hasn't sprouted more than an inch. So it goes as the sun rises and sets, and for 4 solid seasons, the farmer's taking care of this bamboo tree, watering it, but all he's seeing is this little sprout and dirt, and nothing's happening year after year. The farmer and his wife have nothing tangible to show for their labor that they've been doing by taking care of this bamboo tree. Now, and on the 5th year, something miraculous happens. And the bamboo tree, over the span of that 5th year, sprouts up 80 feet. In just that one season, it seems like it has grown 80 feet. But has it really? Did the little tree just lie dormant in the dirt up until that 5th year and all of a sudden sprout out? Or was the little tree growing underground? Was the roots building a strong foundation into that ground? Growth in the 5th year is what people saw. But of course, what was actually happening is there was a root foundation that was growing down in the earth to support those 80-foot tall bamboo trees. Now, I don't know if you've ever experienced before in your life where you're frustrated because things are not going the way you want them to. You think that they should be moving faster or there should be a different outcome. One of the things that I've heard from one of my coaches before is that life happens when we make really great plans. People who potentially toil towards worthwhile dreams and goals build strong character, and while overcoming adversity and challenge, grow the strong internal foundation to handle success. While get rich and quick lotteries, usually you hear in the news where those people end up just eventually losing all their money. They end up spending all their money. And had the Chinese bamboo farmer dug up the dirt to see what was happening with the little seed every year, it would have stunted the growth of this bamboo tree, and it would have struggled so much harder. Another example of that is with the butterfly, with the caterpillar in the cocoon. When the caterpillar is in the cocoon, it needs that struggle in order for it to build the muscle strength to be able to fly when it gets out of that cocoon. If you assist it when it's going through that struggle, then it won't build the strength and won't be able to eventually be able to fly. Now, that's not to say in human life that we don't reach out for assistance and we just struggle on our own, because that is one thing that I have learned, is I've done a lot of struggling on my own. And when I've been willing to surrender and be vulnerable and reach out is when I've been able to reach the greatest growth. We live in a quick fix society. We get frustrated if we have to wait for things too long. If we have to wait in line, which I'm finding a lot with COVID-19 right now, and with the social distancing, if there's somewhere that I need to go and there's the social distancing moving all the way out of the buildings, it can challenge me at times if I'm not in that headspace because I don't want to wait. Another example is with my daughter growing up. When I wanted something done, one particular example that comes to mind is we're leaving and I'm in a rush and we need to go and I need her to get her shoes on, and she sits down very slowly and she slowly puts on one shoe at a time, and then she's slowly struggling and she's having a hard time with those knots and bows, and it's driving me crazy, and eventually then I take over and I do it for her. And I've caught myself in this mode a few times with my daughter, and this needing to have things happen quickly. And with our own personal growth and on my own journey and path, I felt at times where it hasn't been happening quick enough. And when I remember the bamboo, and when I remember the foundation that I'm building, and that everybody's hero's journey is at a different stage, and not to compare myself to where they are and to where I am, because again, everybody's journey is different. A system that could explosively support growth is when we allow ourselves to grow, to take steps, to move into solution, and allow ourselves to get that help that we need when we need it. There is a real power in this metaphor with our life. When you have tried to do something, but quit before you reached your goal. Truthfully, we have all had that happen. After you quit the thing you were trying to do, did you ever examine why you quit? Many times we quit because we are not seeing immediate results of our work or effort. How have you ever tried to learn a new skill and become frustrated and quit? And why did you quit? Have you ever tried to start a business after things just didn't get rolling fast enough and you threw in the towel? Why? Have you ever tried to lose weight and got frustrated and quit whatever program you were on because you weren't seeing the results fast enough? Have you ever tried to solve a recurring problem? And what is that problem for you? And you feel no matter what you try, it will always be that way. Have you wondered why it didn't seem to change? The reality is you have limiting decisions and nobody sees results immediately. Yet, people always want immediate satisfaction. Anytime you're trying to do something significant or important, you most likely will not see immediate results. And people who are trying to sell those get-rich-quick schemes are just selling you false hope. But there's this craving inside, this quick fix that we want, and so sometimes we jump into those things without doing the work that we need to do. But if you continually to be diligently learning a new skill and that new tool, your roots will be growing without even realizing it. And it's being able to reflect on where you've been and where you are going. Do you have the grit and the faith to work on changing the old problem even though you don't see any growth? So how does this relate to your problem? All the doers see the dirt, and they may remind you often that all they see is dirt, but you are the person who knows those roots are growing. Building a solid rooted structure takes time on your path. It's different for everyone, and everyone's at a different place. Imagine yourself taking the initiative to improve your health and well-being, to move you in the direction you want to go. You are instituting positive change, and you see the dirt. You're creating an expectation that you can get this done with support, and you are seeing the dirt. You're keeping at it for a long time, and then a miracle of miracles, the sprout, and it starts to grow. Just like that, something shifts in a positive direction. It takes grit. It takes perseverance and persistence, and it takes action. So what gets in our way is what is in our unconscious mind, those limiting beliefs. So if you look at this purple circle here, you see that we have the conscious mind, and then in the center you see the unconscious mind. The conscious mind are the things like planning, willpower, critical thinking, your short-term memory, judgments, decisions that are happening in your life. This is all in your conscious mind, seeing the things out in front of you and figuring things out. Now, the unconscious mind is the long-term memory, the protection, emotions, creativity, your cellular memory. Your cellular memory, it remembers everything that has happened to you, whether you've seen it or whether you have experienced it throughout your whole life, which is not conscious to you. Your automatic body functions like breathing, your heartbeat, the blood flowing through your body, our ability to heal. Our body gets cut and it just heals. That is unconscious, something that we aren't consciously doing. And our habits and our patterns are unconscious to us. And that's where limiting beliefs come into play. So the prime directives of the unconscious mind is your unconscious mind, it stores memory. It is the domain of the emotions. It takes everything personally. And the unconscious mind organizes all your memories. Your unconscious mind represses memories as well with unresolved negative emotions. And this is how people get through traumas. It's still there. It's still within you on a cellular memory, but it is unconscious to you. It presents repressed memories to your conscious mind to resolve and release the negative emotions. So if something continually is coming back, your problem, it keeps coming back and it keeps coming back, and you're trying to bury it and push it under the carpet, and it's not going away, and you don't understand why. It's because the unconscious mind is bringing it to the surface so that you can actually heal it and allow it to release. It's like you've got this glass ceiling, and it keeps hitting this glass ceiling, and it's going to keep hitting this glass ceiling until you choose to do something differently and choose to heal whatever is going on. And that's where, if we choose not to heal that, coping mechanisms come in, whether it could be something like alcohol or drugs or eating disorders, in order to control what is going on and trying to ignore what we've experienced and felt, which goes back to the duality. We can't experience one without the other. So if we continually suppress those emotions that we don't like and we don't want to feel, it continues to build in our body on a cellular memory. And the unconscious mind preserves the body. So if this continues to build, it's eventually going to shift in a way that is very uncomfortable to you. And it could start as subtle, but it could go as far as dis-ease could become disease. So limiting decisions are always automatically translated to your spheres of influence: family, relationship, friends, career, society. If it's not happening in you, it can't happen in relationship, family, career, or society. Limiting beliefs are transferable from the people that we have been involved with, whether it's parents or teachers or co-workers, transferable onto us, and we can adapt their model of the world. And it isn't until we have awareness that we can shift and change that. So how do we move from problem into not problem into solution? Affirmations that challenge your limiting beliefs. So for example, if I'm going to do a presentation and I have a limiting belief that's telling me that I'm not good enough, that I can't do this. Uh-oh, I think that I just got kicked off Zoom. Hang on just a moment. Paused. Okay. Hang on just a sec. Oh, you can still hear me. Okay, so I'm not. Okay, perfect. I'm not sure what's going on then. So then I will keep going. Let me pull that back up. Okay. All right, so the host is asking you to start your video. Start my video. Okay. Not sure what just happened there, but I see myself back on again. And Where was I? Okay. So positive affirmation. So say, for example, I'm about to do something that is challenging or out of my comfort zone. Say, for instance, leading a webinar. And I have this little voice in my head that is telling me a story that I'm not good enough, or I don't have what it takes. It's bringing positive affirmations into our life that are the glass half full. I can do this. I have the credentials and the knowledge and the passion and the drive, and just continually bringing that into mantra. And if you've done the breath of joy with me before, I like to do mantra with a breath of joy, because again, that just gives you a really super surge and charge to get that done. Perhaps you know it's time to access support, like a coach, or it could be, for example, like these webinars, or you're reading a book, or you're taking a course to help you move into solution, to again get you out of problem, out of not problem, into solution. You may attend a program that provides you with support and can get connected with a community with like-minded people. So most successful people in the world are successful because they surround themselves with like-minded people, and not with those naysayers that want to pull you down like the crabs in a bucket. I don't know if you've ever heard the crabs in the bucket story, but when a bunch of crabs are in a bucket, and one starts to claw its way to the top of the bucket to escape, just as it's about to escape, all the rest of the crabs grab on and actually pull him back down into the bucket. So who are the crabs in the bucket in your life that are keeping you away in your problem and not moving towards solution? And maybe there's something you need to shift and change there. Everything makes us uncomfortable. The extent to which I'm uncomfortable has a payoff of 3 times if you follow through. So it's uncomfortable staying in your problem. So why not be uncomfortable moving into solution? All right. So I just a couple cute little cartoons here. Is, gentlemen, regarding the recent rejection slip you sent me, I think there might be a misunderstanding. What I really wanted for you to publish my story and send me $50,000. So Snoopy is going from he had a problem here, they rejected him, and now moving into a solution and getting them to think in a different way and explain what it is that he really wanted. And then with this one here, let's see, the mechanic's checking your car for a clunking sound it made when going around corners. That's right. Did they fix the problem? Absolutely. This was in your trunk. So he had a problem. There was this clunking going on. And when he got help, rather than just continually staying in that problem and hearing that clunking and driving him nuts, he went to an expert, and they figured out what the problem was, and it was a bowling ball rolling in his car. So what bowling balls are clunking around inside of you? Because they can, I would think they could cause a lot of pain. And where could you use help to help you move into solution? So what pain are you not paying attention to? Use your pain as a marker, whether it's emotional pain or physical pain, as a beacon, as a sign post of where to go, and the unconscious mind will release the information and upload it into your conscious mind. The pain is a marker, a lead, a clue, if you'd like, to what you need to release. Denial shows up in pain. What you resist persists. So in that duality, when you're sweeping your pain, those negative emotions under the carpet, it continues to persist. We are resisting these emotions and this pain. We really want to feel happiness and have self-acceptance and love, but because we are repressing these emotions on the other side, and we can't live one without the other, it is not allowing to flow through us, so then it manifests in a different way. Our wound is our wisdom. Access the wound and open to your wisdom. There's two sides to every coin. The main awareness levels are energetic, full range of motion. So when you're in pain, that's where it starts. But it's not, you're not at the top of your game. You're foggy, you're tired. You feel like you have no energy. And then it becomes mechanical, stiff neck, or pain in your back. And then the pain starts to mobilize you where you can't move. Which level do you want to solve your problem at? Because when it becomes to a place of mobilization, which I have had before, where I couldn't get out of bed because of my pain, or with my mother, it manifested in disease and cancer. Think of it this way. Do you want it to stay at a grain of sand, a pebble, or a rock? Or do you need a boulder before you do something about it? The boulder represents our boundary line I unconsciously created. When I step around the boulder, the people, resources, and opportunities I need will appear. Stepping around the boulder changes the boundary line. The boulder shows you stuff you didn't know you need to know. It leads to a different set of skills. It directs you to new resources. So when those hands are right in front of your eyes, you can't see the resources that you need, but when you step away, you start to see things from a different light. What can you do or not do that is different from what you're doing or not doing now? Let me read that one more time. What can you do or not do that is different from what you're doing or not doing now? So do you really want to solve your problem? And what would it be worth to you if you could solve your problem? What if you had the tools and skills and assistance to help you solve that problem? And what would happen in your life if this problem was solved? So I've given you a lot of great tools here to use and how to shift yourself now in a new awareness, a new way of thinking. What is your pain? What are you not paying attention to? And are you in problem, not problem, or solution? And where can you get resources to help you there? So as I start to close, I meant to mention at the beginning that I would let you know how you could access more tools and services if you're interested. So if you want to go further with this work with me or with another coach, doing coaching sessions or doing a webinar series, I'm offering a 6-week webinar series in this topic, radical self-acceptance, digging in even deeper. So if this resonates with you at all, if you at all feel piqued or interested to learn more about one of these virtual sessions or working one-on-one with me, coaching, helping you through your problem and digging into it and really finding out, when we walk in with a presenting problem, there is always stuff going on in the unconscious mind. And that's where I help you zone in and dial in so you can figure out what's going on unconsciously so that you can start to break your patterns and step into radical self-acceptance, radical self-love, and live the life that you desire. So if this is something that you're interested in, you can connect with me just at the end of the webinar here and book a session for a 30-minute complimentary discovery call. And this is where we'll dive in deeper and figure out where you want to go and really see if this is a good fit for you. And I can also go into more depth with the 6-week webinar series. And we're going to dive into week 1, acknowledging the pain. You can't change the past. Guilt and shame, breaking the cycle. What ifs? Fear of the unknown, feeling power and bliss. Week 4, working on forgiveness, which is a huge piece and element, and then feeling the fear and doing it anyway, and taking steps in the direction that you want to take to get action. And then in the 6th week, it's going to be a recap, a celebration, all the tools that you've got to use, and acknowledgments and success of where you've been, where you are now, and where you're going. So with that, again, if you would like to book a session, or actually, before I say that, if I will post in a moment the emails, you can get a hold of us if you would like to book a session. And also, you can stay on the call at the end if you want to book a free 30-minute discovery call. So the power is within you. It always has been. How far are you willing to expand the horizons of your thinking and stir that power awake?